Thank you for tuning in to MacroView Television and welcome to a brand new edition of Taiwan Outlook, the program that presents the different faces and lets you hear their stories on Taiwan. I'm your host, Ray Guo. Have you heard of assistive technology? What is it? And how can it improve the quality of life for people with physical disabilities? We're going to find out on today's program because we are delighted to have as our special guest Mr. Kevin Gallagher, who's currently the chairperson of Icebreaker Association here in Taiwan, to talk about designing and developing assistive technology devices for people with disabilities. Welcome to our program, Kevin.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kevin Gallagher, and I'm very happy to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the program today, Kevin. First of all, please tell us a little bit about yourself and why and when that you came to Taiwan first, please.
Well, I suppose it's a bit of a long story, as you can imagine. You know,
we have about an hour. Yes.
Right. I'm originally from Scotland.
Yes.
So I grew up. I grew up there, and always interested in engineering. I'm one of those people who looks at a machine and just loves to work out how it works. You know, an aeroplane, a steam engine, a motorcycle, a car. So it was very natural I became an engineer.
Yes.
It was just a natural progression of my interests and skills.
Right.
So I went to work for high-tech companies. I worked in England, worked in Holland. Eventually ended up with IBM in the south of England, which was, very interesting. You know, I enjoyed the work there. So that was that's my background.
Okay. But Kevin, why in the year of 1990 that you decided to quit your job at IBM, where you have worked for about 8 years, and came to Taiwan and started doing volunteer work first at Huaguang Development Center in Hsinchu. What was the reason or factors involved in your decision-making process to quit the job and come to Taiwan?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy being an engineer. I have to admit, you know, you work for IBM, high-tech company, all the benefits,
you have a lot of
salary and so on.
Opportunities and good prospects.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, yes. I did enjoy the work there, but perhaps a little, you know, insight, something a bit uneasy, you know, what's it all about, or, you know, looking for a bit more meaning in life. But I suppose many people have that.
Of
course.
There's
like
most void inside of you, yes. You
a little bit of a void,
You want to do something in addition to just being an engineer.
It's a little voice inside. Like the voice outside is go and make money and so on and so on. You know, status and power, but a little voice inside, but you know, you just live with it.
Yes.
But I did come to Taiwan on a small holiday one time. I knew somebody who was living here. They were studying Chinese. He was a Jesuit priest, incidentally. So I came here just to see him and travel around, went to Hualien, Alishan, and Taipei, of course, you know, did all the usual sites as the tourists did. And I found I'm very interested in the Chinese language as well. So it was just, you know, I really enjoyed my 2 weeks here.
Good.
But what happened was I went back home again and thought, well, that's my holiday over. Well, it didn't quite work out that way. So a few months later, I received this letter from this center that's looking after mentally disabled children. You mentioned
Huaguang.
Yes, right, Huaguang in a quite a well, I wouldn't say a remote part, but a small town in Taiwan.
Yes.
And the letter said, "I heard you're in, dear Kevin." You know, in those days there was letters. There was no email.
No.
It was a proper letter written by a pen. I said, "Dear Kevin, I heard you're interested in Taiwan. We're a center trying to help mentally disabled children. Do you want to come and work as a volunteer for 2 years?" Well, so that was
the opportunity maybe you were looking for. Yes, you were waiting for. Yes.
Something like that. Yeah. This was like the turning point. But then of course, you know, you have to give up your job. You have to sell your car. You have to sell your motorcycle, and that was my big love. So the letter sat in my table for 5 months, I think, and then I eventually I replied, I decided to come. So that's it in a few sentences.
Let me ask you, what was the reaction from your family members and also from your friends when they heard, Kevin, you're going to Taiwan? Are you going to quit your job at IBM? Are you going to start working for this, charitable organization?
Yeah.
What was their reaction?
Well, in 2 words, you're crazy. You know, it just wasn't very
probably
supportive.
They knew. Yes, back then probably they knew very little about Taiwan, let alone about the charitable organization they're going to be a part of.
Yeah, they knew it was a long way away, and they knew it was a different language, different food, different customs. So there was a big list of problems came out.
Of course.
What if you can't make friends? What if you can't learn the language? What if you get sick? You know, there was a big list of what ifs. Huh?
Yes, of course. And people probably going to ask you, can you get your old job back if it doesn't work out?
That's right. Can you come back?
Yes.
Which, well, the answer was no to that. It was a one-way kind of street. But, you know, these little voices inside that I think everybody has, it keeps, talking, it was saying, go on, try it.
Good, all right.
So,
good for Taiwan that we have you here for the last 25 years.
Oh, happy to be here.
Yes. And Kevin, tell us a little bit about the Icebreaker Association, the background and why did you set it up?
Well, Icebreaker, it started, as I mentioned, I came to Huaguang. I started working with disabled people. I very rarely met disabled people before I came to Taiwan.
Okay.
So in those 25 years ago when I first came, there wasn't much anyway of what we call assistive technology you mentioned before, which basically just using technology to help disabled people.
Yes.
So after I worked for Huaguang for 3 years, and then there was another organization wanted to start a small center for assistive technology. And the director of the centre thought if we had an engineer, it might be quite interesting. Maybe we could make some things. Taiwan having all the bits and pieces of technology, all the electronic components and materials. It's heaven in that sense. So she had this idea if she could invite an engineer, it would be probably quite good for the organisation. So that's how I started. It was with with a Huaguang, different organisation. And we got in at the beginning when there was virtually nothing. There was no assistive technology in Taiwan. And that's how it got going. And then from then I worked for other organisations. I met Jennifer and Tony, my 2 associates. And then eventually we set up our own organisation.
Yes.
That we call the Icebreaker Association.
Okay. And you mentioned your 2 partners.
Yes.
One is Jennifer Chan, who is a occupational therapist.
That's right, yes.
Okay. And the other one is Tony Lin, who's a physiotherapist.
Yes.
And why did the 3 of you? You were coming from different professional backgrounds, coming together in the 1990s and decided to form this Icebreaker Association. Why?
It just clicks. You meet 2 wonderful people that have the same, maybe spirit, same idea.
Okay.
And you work well together. You have the same motivation. We both realised, technology can do so much.
Okay.
But working with technology to help disabled people, you need a range of skills. It's not all about high tech. It's not all about engineering. There's also the medical side too, as my 2 colleagues are involved in. So we can really solve the disabled person's problem, like not just give them a high-tech product and let them get on with it. We really do this from start to end. One-stop shop, we like to say.
Okay.
So it was meeting 2 people with the same ideas, really wanting to change people's lives by using technology. And you put 2 or 3 people with the same spirit, same ideas together, you can do a lot of good things.
And Kevin, let me ask you, how does Icebreaker Association operate? I mean, do you receive funding from private donations, or do you work with the government agencies to try to develop the kinds of devices that you have mentioned?
It's a charity, basically, of donations. Like the work we do is for people that are generally outside of the education system or outside of the health system.
Okay.
But they still need help. So to get money to help this group of people, you really need to raise funds. So that's
Has funding been difficult?
Well, of course, the more money you have, the more you can do. We would like to expand as more people get to know us. There's more needs come in. It's so. I think for any charity, it's always a problem. We're not unique. We're always looking for funds just to do more. So.
Okay, and Icebreaker is able to bring the benefits of technologies to people with disabilities. And let me ask you, how does that work? Do people come to you and then say that, can you help me to get a device that can help my, family member to eat better, to drink water, to maybe doing some of the simplest daily, routines? You know, how does it work?
People really come to us, like Jennifer, Tony, myself. We've been involved in this area. Maybe before Icebreaker, we were still working in the area of assistive technology.
Okay.
So people kind of know about us, have heard about us, so we don't really have to look for people. They come to us.
Oh, yeah.
Now, it could be schools, it can be hospitals, it could be other groups like us, other charities, and they say, we have this person. They are unable to speak. It's a child in a school. No, they can't get the proper education. Do you have a device that can help them?
Okay.
And this is generally what happens.
Okay. And who are the targeted, patients or people with disabilities that are mostly, the people that come to your association? People with cerebral palsy, for example? Yeah,
people with, basically we're open to any disabled person that needs help with technology that cannot resolve it themselves.
Okay.
It would be good if we could focus in one group. It would make our job a bit easier, or just if we could focus in the Taipei area. But if you have a skill that can help disabled people, we felt would be wrong to say no just because you live in a different part of Taiwan, just because of your geographical location.
Okay.
So basically having these skills, our door is open to anybody, and that could be cerebral palsy, children with cerebral palsy, adults with a spinal cord injury, or a motor neuron disease, stroke cases, and so on.
Okay.
So
we'll
cover the whole range.
Variety of people. Good. And you mentioned briefly about the kinds of services and the products and devices that you provide to people with physical disabilities. But can you give us a clear or a more precise definition of what is assistive technology?
Well, assistive technology, to put it very briefly, it's just basically using technology to help disabled people.
Okay.
Disabled people have something they can't do.
Okay.
Maybe they can't walk, maybe they can't speak, maybe their hand doesn't move, or so on. Maybe they can't eat properly. So it's using technology to help them to assist. So we have this assistive technology.
Okay.
Now we are just a bridge. Like Taiwan has technology. Taiwan is a technology heaven, as you know.
Yes.
And we have the disabled population, as every country has. What we are doing in the Icebreaker Association is to be the bridge between the technology and disabled people, to basically trying to restore their life to some form of independence or dignity. Too many disabled people are living on the margins of our society, so we're trying to use technology to get them back into society again.
Good. And Kevin, to be honest, maybe a lot of people, including myself, prior to talking to you today on the program, we knew very little, if anything, about assistive technology.
Yeah.
How long has the concept been around? Like you mentioned, Taiwan is a technology heaven. But I don't think a lot of the companies here are, committed to the design and the development of assistive, technology.
Yeah.
And how does the concept get hold or develop here in Taiwan?
Well, I think, how does it get hold? I mean, you can see, you say assistive technology is not well known. I think it's maybe a case of words. You look at your spectacles.
Yes.
Can you imagine life without your glasses?
No,
I mean, this
really.
is assistive technology.
Yes.
It's just some things we take for granted are,
it becomes
are assistive
technology,
technology, right?
Yes.
It's just that disabled people need a bit more. We need spectacles, perhaps a hearing aid or a few other things. This is assistive technology.
Yes.
Like, or a ramp. Like instead of steps, we have a ramp to push a wheelchair up, or a child in a pram.
Yes.
In a buggy. So I think it's already been here. It's just to expand it, I think, more.
Okay.
Like, it's a new word in Taiwan, but it's here now. It's already fixed.
Okay. And let me ask you, Kevin, can you give us some example of the kinds of assistive technology devices that you have provided to people in Taiwan that can actually help their life, their quality of life, be improved?
Yes. Yes. I mean, there's many examples. We're working perhaps more at the higher tech end of the scale. We have like the basic technology would be a walker. Like a walking stick is assistive technology. There's no real need for us to get into that. But at the higher end of the technology scale, people who can't speak, somebody with motor neuron disease, who is completely locked in, nothing moves except their eyes. The only movement they have is their eyes, but their brain's perfectly normal, so perfectly conscious. Now, their basic need could be just to call somebody for help. They could want a drink. They want, they have many basic needs. It's just to call somebody. So how do you use an eye movement to call somebody who's in another room? These are the kind of things we do. But the other big area, I think, was with the internet. When I first came to Taiwan, there was no internet, and then it was just starting about 1992, 93. Now, for a disabled person stuck at home, stuck in a care home, this is a wonderful thing to get on the internet. This little wire that comes in from the outside is their lifeline to the outside world. But how does a disabled person who cannot use a mouse use a computer? So this is maybe one of the best examples, just getting disabled people using a computer, and with that computer they can do fantastic things. It can be a life-changing possibility for a disabled person. But for an able-bodied person, it's a help in our life. You know, if you don't have the computer, we can still have a fairly good life. Huh? But for a disabled person, it can be a life-changing event.
Exactly. And we also understand that, Kevin, you were trained as an engineer back home in Scotland. And then you quit your job in 1990 and came to Taiwan. However, today, in addition to your responsibilities with Icebreaker Association, that you also work as a part-time engineer for a local electronics company. And let me ask you first, does your job, involve in anything remotely related to the development of assistive technology?
There's a bit of a crossover. You know, it's an electronic company for profit. I work there. I provide engineering help to this company.
Of course.
But the resources of this company are very good. So this company is really excellent in allowing me to use the parts store. I mean, it's like a child in a toy shop. This huge range of parts I can just go in and use. So they're actually the parts that they have is what we need, because we do designs ourselves, and they have special high-tech tools they allow me to use. So there's I work there as a professional engineer, but having those resources is a great help to our Icebreaker Association. So there is an overlap there.
Yeah, so one job helping the other role that you play with Icebreaker.
It does, and the company is very happy to do that. So yeah.
All right. And Kevin, still, I mean, you have the commitment with, Icebreaker. And also you have a part-time job. And you must be very busy, I mean, how do you then balance the two things, because either one of them could take up a significant amount of your time and effort. And you're not a robot. You need to have some time off, from these things. And how do you then compete? And I mean, not compete, but balance the two things.
There's a lot to do. Life is busy, but with the association, if you find meaningful work, like your work is your play, it's your life. It all tends to blend into one big mass. So even though you're very busy, you can be working very late in the evening on some new project for some case you have to see the next day. It's very enjoyable. It's very pleasurable. It's a choice to be busy. It's not a boss above me ordering me to stay late in the company. It's coming from myself. It's coming from inside. So even though you're very busy, many things to do, it's a personal choice. My two colleagues, I think, would agree with that. We're all very busy, many things to do, but it's meaningful, a meaningful busy, and it's a choice we make ourselves. So in that sense, it's okay. It all seems to work out.
But there must be times when your friends come up to you, "Hey, Kevin, take some time off. Let's go to a movie or go to a picnic in the park." I mean, how do you then try to maintain your social network on the one hand, also your professional and charitable commitments on the other?
There's always time. I think the good thing about the three of us is we socialize together a lot, and we travel a lot. We're all over Taiwan. So often when we're going to see some disabled case in the south of the island or in the east of the island, we will take some time out and enjoy the beautiful Taiwan
Yes.
mountains or sea at the same time. So there's always enough time for leisure. We all need our leisure time. So
Okay.
can find it.
Good. And Kevin, let me ask you, what's next on the agenda for Icebreaker? You're already providing, devices, to people.
Yeah, yeah.
And do you think that in the future, maybe in the coming years, the scope of people that come to you will even become wider? That maybe you can get more of the, other people, volunteers, and corporations involved, and maybe offer services and products to more people in Taiwan.
Yeah, it is that. Basically, I think it's just to reach out to more. Like, we see what we are doing. We have seen how technology is really giving life, changing people's lives, people who need their lives changed.
Okay.
And our future is to do more. There are some fantastic high-tech devices out there, and the price is not as high as you would think. Price is coming down all the time.
Exactly.
And it's just there's so few people know about it in Taiwan. So it's to get the message out.
Okay.
But when you get the message out, more people come in. So it's to get our association more resources as well.
Okay.
So this is just the direction. It's to do more of what we're already doing.
Okay. And Kevin, of course, it's a pleasure to have you on the program today, because I also think in the process of our interview, we will have more exposure of Icebreaker Association. More people in Taiwan and around the world will know about the association. And let me ask you then, do you have any plans, or you have already done it, maybe to have a few events in Taiwan that, that's sort of like an open door, introductory event, let more people know about you? Is that something being planned?
Yeah, that's something we are planning. We're always running, we run a professional courses for teachers and parents and so on.
Good.
But this is more like people who are working inside the area. But we will be running some promotional events just to get our message out as to what technology can do. And hopefully companies or private organizations may be willing to help us to do this, to be our partners to get this message, get this message out.
All right. Finally, before we end this part of the program, Kevin, what are the kinds of devices that people with disabilities in Taiwan need the most? Do they, for example, need tools to help them write or eat or drink water? What are some of these examples?
I would say the basic, like to eat and write, probably already, not to write, to eat and so on, to get mobile, wheelchairs, walkers, it's probably already there in Taiwan. Taiwan has done a fairly good job to get up. It's more at the technical end of things. And I would say the big focus is on communication. Many disabled people just can't communicate. Now, if you cannot communicate your needs, and not just your needs, how to express yourself and how to get education, leisure, nothing works. So this is the big focus. And communication, and this is it. Now, many people can't speak, but speaking is only one means of communication. There are many means of communication. So this is the focus, I would say. Most of what we do is in this area. And I think it's a basic right of people to be able to communicate.
Good. Right. Can you then tell us, how do you interact with people who come to you and saying that, hey, Mr. Gallagher, my son has, somewhat disabilities, and that we need, the kinds of services and help that your association may be able to provide. And how do you interact with them?
Yeah, how do we interact? We operate on many levels, but I would say one of the special ways we interact would be our home outreach service. I think Taiwan tends to be hospital-based or center-based. You have to go to the center. You have to go to the hospital. But I think Jennifer, Tony, myself realized very, very quickly that for some person who is very disabled, severely disabled, it's a major problem just to get out of bed, into a wheelchair, into a vehicle, into the hospital, and then back home again. So, and also looking at the models that we have abroad, you really need to do this home care service. So I would say most of our cases are home-based. We go out, so we are a community-based.
That's right.
The community is there. I think it's our responsibility to go to the community. So people will call us, but perhaps get an email, maybe from a hospital, a school, or another centre, but we will generally go to the person's home, which is also important, to see the home environment, like to talk to the parents, talk to the teachers, or so on. So the interaction would be generally in the person's home.
Okay.
It could be a house, a home, or it could be a care home. It could be a hospital. But for us, that's their place of residence. It was just it was just a reaction to the need that we saw here.
All right. And let me ask you then, when people, interact with you and tell you, their conditions, and you provide, of course, the services in assistive technology devices, but do you offer additional counseling, psychological, comforting, telling the parents and other family members how they can help this person with disabilities, try to assist the person, to, return into not just the society, maybe back into the family life. Do you offer those things at all?
Yeah, I would certainly not put us in the position of professional counsellors. That's a very professional situation. But
of course,
you do become a kind of a natural counsellor in a way. You go into a person's home, into their private places, and sometimes we don't pry. If we need to know, we will ask questions about how the disability came about. But very often a person will talk to you. They'll find out, hey, Jennifer seems a nice person. I'll tell her a bit more about my situation and so on. So they tend to talk, And of course we will talk back and we'll offer encouragement. So in that sense, because often disabled people will need encouragement, there's a sense of people are always talking about their disability. If you go to see the doctor, if you go to see if you go to the hospital or so, it's all about the disability, what you can't do, the medicine you need or to solve the pain. But we talk about not the disability, the ability, which is different. We take the dis off, so the ability, and everybody has some ability. And maybe this is the first time they've heard about ability. And you say, yeah, everybody has ability. It's just that we have to find it. We have to help you to find it. And once we find that, that's what we work on.
Okay.
So the disability, we don't care about. We're not interested. Even though we talk about Disabled Centre, we're really concerned with the ability.
Yes. And Kevin, you've been doing this for over 2 decades.
Yeah.
Can you then tell us some of the stories that you have come across with patients and their families? Of course, without giving us their names.
Yes.
But, tell us a little bit about some of the stories.
Oh, there are countless stories, life-changing stories. Maybe the most touching would be like the children in schools. And I could think of one young girl with cerebral palsy. I say cerebral palsy, you are born with it. So you grow up in a family with cerebral palsy.
Yes.
With your mother and father who know all about you. They know that, hey, this child's bright, this child can't move properly. It's got very bad movement, it can't speak, but they know, hey, my child's bright. Yes. But then the child goes to school, as all children must do, even disabled people. Like in Taiwan, all children must receive education now.
Yes, mandatory.
Even if they are, it's mandatory. But then the disabled child can go to a normal school, like we have integrated schooling now, integrated education, but often the child will be in the wheelchair in the corner of the classroom. The teacher has no means of reaching the child.
Yes.
So we have the legislation in place to get the child into school, but if you don't have the special technology to get them integrated into the education system, often what you see is the child in the corner of the classroom being maybe a little bit ignored, but you can't always blame the teacher. The teacher doesn't know what to do. Specific example would be an 8-year-old child I saw from Geelong. This was the situation in the corner of the classroom.
Yes.
But the parents demanding, telling the teacher, my child is intelligent, my child is bright, my child can learn many things. But if the child can't speak, right? So anyway, we went in, Okay, the hands and the legs are moving all over the place in the head. So how can they can't speak? Can't talk clearly. But we found out that her left foot had very good movement. Again, don't look at the disability, look for the ability. So we found out her left foot, was very good movement. So we used what we call a joystick, a big joystick, big thing this size.
Okay.
We put it on the floor, connected it up to a computer.
Okay.
We used a screen keyboard and said, okay, right. Mum says you're bright. Mum says you know how to type Chinese. Okay, write something. And she just went straight for it. Within a few minutes, we had a sentence up on the screen in the computer.
That's amazing.
Now, there's a little bit of technology, not very expensive bit of technology.
No.
It could break through. They could give that child a communication, and was then the starting point of her into the education system.
Okay.
And of course, the teacher knew then from that point onwards, this child can learn many things. So a little bit of technology giving a life-changing event to that child and to the family.
Okay.
And then with the internet, she's now in contact with friends outside Facebook and so on. So this
Wonderful.
This is touching stories, many stories like this.
Okay. But Kevin, there must have also been some stories when things don't necessarily work out very well, all right?
Yes.
And there are moments of frustration, disappointment.
Yes.
And how do you and your colleagues, as well as the parents and family members, overcome that together?
Well, we try. I mean, anybody working for charities will face their frustrations. You know, it's a part of life and everything.
Exactly.
It's wrong to give the impression everything's wonderful and beautiful. Life just isn't like that. Okay. We have to be honest in all what we do. And there are some disappointments in cases. It could be, I've been to, generally, it could be spinal cord injury, somebody who's maybe a little bit older, 40s, 50s, maybe 60s. And maybe already lying in bed, paralysed for 20, 30 years.
Yes.
And they say, no, I'm quite happy just to be here looking at the ceiling. And you think, no, come on, you can do more than this. But the person will, I don't know if they don't believe or if they are so used to that way of life or they don't want to cause trouble to other people. And we always demand that the disabled person himself takes one step towards us. It's not all about us 100%. We can give a lot, but they need to put something in as well. So sometimes you will meet situations like this where you will say, no, it's okay, just leave me the way I am. And you think it could be different, it could be better, but in some cases you just have to let things be.
Okay, but there must have been times when you not only need to deal with the person with disabilities, but also try to somehow interact with the parents, the family members, and make sure they know the kinds of products and services you're providing is really helping the person.
Yeah,
okay.
You need to have the support of the family. If you're going into a home, if you're going to a care home, you need the support of the centre, right?
Yes.
You can get this person on the internet and they can have a wonderful life-changing situation, but if the centre won't let them use the internet, if they won't provide the internet line, or if they won't let them use their Wi-Fi, then what can you do? We have these frustrations. So maybe we have parents maybe not supportive, maybe thinking, it's taken me so much trouble to get my child to this level, I don't want any extra. So this situation happens. So we have to, as an association, look at the bigger picture, the home situation, the government situation, the education system.
Yes.
And in some cases, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't work, even though we would love, even though it could be possible. But there are some factors you cannot control, and we need to accept that.
Of course, Kevin. It's really I share with probably the thoughts of many viewers who have been watching our program today, what you and your partners are doing in Taiwan, especially for the disabled people, really admirable. But you're also very, big on the concept of, everybody, including, corporations, they should have their share of social responsibility. And as you know, corporate social responsibility, CSR, has been a hot topic in Taiwan in recent years. And based on your observation and experiences in the last 25 years, do you have any suggestions, not just for individuals like you and I, but also for the corporations as well as for the government, public sector? What can we do more to try to help, this concept of assistive technology, what you and your partners are doing to, become deeper rooted, in Taiwan? Please.
Yeah, I think certainly more could be done in Taiwan. The concept of CSR, corporate social responsibility, responsibility. It's quite well known in the West, certainly with larger multinational companies. They have their CSR program. So it's just part of the company culture to give something back to society. But also forget that giving something back to society, society gives a lot back to the company. Having employees involved in a social program gives so much back. Like the company will find they have a better employee by once the employees open their minds to what's going on in general outside. I think it works both ways. But I would say, looking at Taiwan companies and companies from overseas, I think that the concept is probably quite new to local companies, and I really encourage local companies to just jump in, do more.
Okay.
The benefits are not just for society, but for your company as a whole.
Yes.
And in our case, the Icebreaker Association, we have fantastic opportunities for high-tech companies, maybe using their technology to help us directly. A company that's doing high-tech development, you know, they have the direct link here, using technology to help those on the margins of society that need help. There is a fantastic development opportunity here for local electronic or high-tech companies that want to do something.
Okay.
You know, come and talk to us. It's more just has to be done. I think it's not enough to depend on private donations, good-hearted people.
Okay.
Yeah, as there are many in Taiwan, and I'm very grateful to these incredibly kind people that do donate. What we need is more kinder companies and employers, not just employees.
Yeah. And Kevin, maybe a reason why some of the high-tech companies in Taiwan are not yet involved or committed to what you and your partners are doing could be a reason, a factor. Could be that, you know, the products that are, you know, involved with assistive technology it really cannot be mass-produced. You know, you don't really have a huge market out there.
No.
Okay, maybe this is one of the reasons. I don't know. I'm not speaking for them. You know, but you know, maybe this is one of considerations. Does it really happen in your contacts with some of these corporations?
Yeah, I think in terms of manufacturing, in terms of the design and development, the market, if you're looking at local, it's not big.
No.
And it's not really, unless you're going after the global market. But to be honest, in recent years, the cost has come down so much of assistive technology devices. We now have incredibly high-tech devices like eye trackers using eye control to control computers. I mean, that would have been unheard of like 5 years ago they were here, but you were talking about crazy money. But now they're down to reasonable amounts of money. Now it's very high quality, high-tech product that's already there. It's just not worth a company's effort to go down that path.
Okay.
It's more or less, we're more looking for the corporate direct support of our organization.
Okay. And Kevin, let me ask you, based on your observation in the last 25 years, what is the current state of development for assistive technology devices in Taiwan? You know, we are the capital of producing, you know, many things, high-tech, you know, computers, laptop, cell phones, and others. But how about assistive technology? What is your assessment of the state of development of the industry overall?
Of companies in Taiwan?
Yes.
There is development going on, but I say with companies, there's not really much from companies. It's more in the academic environment you see see development, but it could be mainly research-based for research purposes.
Okay.
In few cases, it will result in an actual product coming out. For us as an organization, solving the problems of disabled people, because that's our priority. Having a device that's already there is the best. We just use that because it works and it's stable and so on. So I would say there are things going on, but it's not. Probably companies here don't see the profit motive in producing high-tech devices for disabled people. They're already there.
All right. And maybe not so much the case in Taiwan then. How about globally?
Yes.
I mean, Kevin, you came from a background in Europe, and you have worked in many places. And how about the global situation regarding the design and development of assistive technology devices?
Well, globally, it's very good. To be honest, in the past few years, there's been major. I mean, the products have always been there. What's happened in the past with manufacturing moving, perhaps to China or perhaps to Asia, cost has come down rapidly.
Yes.
I think this links in as to why Taiwan companies are not doing it. Is cost has come down so much. So there's been huge advances, like high-tech devices we used to dream about before, are now on our desk in our office in Taipei. So this is a good story. There are many devices out there at good cost, solving great problems, and always new devices coming out all the time.
Okay. And some of the people that you're serving, they're also considering procuring those products overseas. Is that something that your association maybe offer and assist?
Yeah, we don't sell products. We are a charity. We are completely neutral. It's very important because if somebody needs a device, we will introduce many devices. They choose the best one. Right. Financial support can be a problem. So if you do the assessment, you help somebody, we will offer, you can't do an assessment. Tell somebody this is what you need. And then if they don't have the financial resources, they walk away. We generally don't do that. We will find some way. Some way to do that, and the government helps a little as well. If you need assisted devices, the Taiwan government has programs to help. It generally will not pay the full price. It will pay a third, a quarter, or perhaps a half. So the difference can be fine. We will. Somehow we can find a way. We usually solve the problem.
Try to cover the whole thing. Yes.
Well, a one-stop shop basis. Like we don't walk away halfway through. So we will take the case to the end.
Yeah, Kevin, talking about government, as you know, you've been in Taiwan for 25 years. Government plays a big role in many things that we do in Taiwan. And based on your observation, can you tell us what would be some of the suggestions that you would like to make to the government authorities in terms of trying to help those people with disabilities, to try to get them assimilated back into the society? And what would be some of the things on the policy level that the government can do?
Yeah, the government, I think, has to, we all like to criticize government, but to be honest, government, we couldn't live without government. It's done many things, and look at the good healthcare we have now in Taiwan. I compare it to even my own country. It is very good. We're in the post-health. After the medical care has been taken care of. Then what? It could be a disabled person lying in bed for 25 years, as we have seen, just watching the TV all day. So I think the government needs to do a little bit more in terms of assistive technology. Like the health service is one area. Not just sending the person home to a life of nothing, of no leisure, no communication. The educational services certainly need to do more. We have this mandatory education for all people, but a disabled person needs more assistive technology to get their education. And the social services, just to contact disabled people that maybe have dropped out of the education system, dropped out of the health system. So 3 areas government has to become more aware. And it's to be the bridge. The devices are there. We don't need to design new devices. We have the disabled population. It's to be the bridge between technology and the disabled population. This is where the need is. It's to deliver the help, the assessment, and the installation, a little bit of training, and then the checking and so on. Delivery system. This is where the government has to focus.
Can come in.
Yes.
And Kevin, we have been talking about long-term care in Taiwan.
Yes, I know.
And then the government, of course, is pushing ahead with legislation.
Yes.
And do you foresee that maybe possibly under the long-term care, scheme, maybe there could be some resources devoted to people with disabilities that also need long-term care?
It's not there, could be. There must be long-term care. If you look at in a holistic way, looking at the whole person, it's not just providing a person with a bed, a clean bed with enough to eat and basic medical care. If you don't provide the person with the leisure activities, with communication activities, you can lead to other problems. You can lead to mental issues that the government will then have to pay for. So bringing assistive technology in, giving a person a dignified life, and a partial independence life. Although it can seem a little bit expensive initially to buy these devices, but looking at the whole picture, it will actually cost less. So assistive technology must, it's not could be, must be a part of long-term care.
Okay. All right. Finally, Kevin, I have a question for you on the personal level.
Yeah.
You were born in Europe and came to Taiwan some 25 years ago and still counting. And looking back on your decision some 25 years ago, do you have any regrets? If you were given that opportunity to do the things that you're doing, all over again, would you have done the same thing?
Oh yeah, I could just
in a second. Right?
Oh yeah, just 200%. Yes, listening to that little voice inside that says, "Go on, try it," even though your parents are saying, "Don't do it, don't do it." I just it was. I would say the best decision I ever made in life was to come to Taiwan, and I would encourage other people, young people especially, listen to what's going on inside and, walk your own road, huh? Yes. Don't walk another person's road. So, no regrets. My heartfelt thanks to Taiwan for having me for 25 years. So, it's been, no regrets, of course, none.
It's truly been an honor, if I may speak for many of the Taiwanese, to have you here in Taiwan for the last 25 years. You and your partners certainly have done a lot for the people with disabilities in Taiwan. And we'll look forward to more, greater things, broader scope of services and products from Icebreaker Association in the future. Also want to wish you all the best in your personal and professional endeavors in the future. Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching our program today. I'll see you next time on MacroView Television. Thank you.